You know, earlier when you were tied up, you said that you knew what pain feels like. Why don't we test that? Raise your right hand. Lower. Parallel with the table. Do you feel that?
Yes.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And my name's John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. And don't forget, if you like what you see and you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel today. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Companion. A weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is not what they seem. John, I actually read the specific description as I typically do for a movie, and I think most people, before we even get into this review for this film, just go on that and go watch this movie. Would you agree? Like, that is probably the best way to enjoy this before we even get into anything.
Yep. If that kind of basic thriller concept sounds like something that you're interested in, yes, go see this movie.
And it's funny because I think there is like a bigger discussion, maybe a video down the line or something to talk about like spoilers and, you know, about like theatrical trailers and whatnot, giving away too much of the movie. Because I do really feel like it is such a problem in Hollywood today with movies. A lot of like the more modern, like even Marvel movies, for example, show so much of the movie. And it's like, why am I seeing it? Like, you're giving away the whole premise. There's no surprise anymore. I feel like studios are so afraid, and I get why they do it to an extent. You got to bring people in, so there has to be something like, oh my God, that scene I saw in the trailer is going to get me to come watch it. But there needs to be like a genuine surprise again. And I feel like you really only get that when movies pop up on like Netflix or a streaming service or just something random, because there is no introduction to that movie. There's no tease for it. You're just like, oh, I'm going to put this on and see what the hell it is. A Companion's kind of one of those movies, and I'm so glad it has a theatrical release. I'm incredibly happy it did, because I think it's an excellent movie and I cannot wait to talk about it. But for you out there, if you are interested in anything, if you just saw the poster and you heard that description, go watch this movie. Go watch it now, then come back, hang out with us, and then you can see what we had to say about it. Because from here on out, it's going to be spoilers at this point. I don't know what else to tell you. And again, your best enjoyment is going to be knowing as little as possible. So that's your warning. John, I think we're ready to jump into this. I really, really enjoyed this movie. This is definitely one of the early surprises of the year for me. Again, knowing little next to nothing with this movie and finding out that we got this like awesome sci-fi thriller comedy psychological piece about artificial intelligence, I was blown away, quite honestly, by it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I liked about it, you mentioned how much was given away in the trailer, plot-wise, but the thing that I was kind of surprised by when we saw the movie in the theater was how funny it was.
Yeah.
I think that the tone of the movie was not conveyed nearly as explicitly as the plot, which is kind of unusual for a trailer, but made it a very nice surprise to kind of chuckle as much as I was during this sometimes bloody thriller movie, right?
Right.
It was both entertaining and also had the kind of thought-provoking AI stuff going on in it. So I really enjoyed it.
Right. It feels like it's an A24 movie without being an A24 movie. I think that's probably like the best description I could give it. It touches everything, and it succeeds kind of everywhere it needs to, especially like you said, as a really dark comedy and as a thriller at times, because it definitely has some instances where there's some real tension in the movie that, again, is not undercut by any of the comedy. They do feel like they stand next to each other, and I do appreciate that with this movie for sure. again, one of the other big things I have to say is, especially the acting in this movie. Jack Quaid, for those, we've seen him around a lot, especially in like The Boys and stuff. I feel like he was starting to irk me a little bit. I maybe it's just me. Like, I just seeing him in a lot of things. Man, he can act though. I gotta tell you, Jack Quaid really brought an excellent performance to this movie for the darkness that he kind of portrayed. I wasn't really expecting that at all.
I think what worked for me in his portrayal of the character is that, again, spoilers.
Yeah.
He's kind of the bad guy, right? Like
right.
you as the movie goes on, you're rooting for the companion Iris,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more just that he's a jerk. He's not evil, right? He
Right.
doesn't necessarily have ill intent. He just has a perspective that this companion is just a robot, and I'm going to do what's best for me because I'm a human, and it's as simple as that, right?
Right. And
I kind of enjoyed the character in that way.
right. And you compared it to, I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier, was you said he's the average Reddit user.
Yeah, during the movie,
Yeah.
actually, I think I turned to you and I said, this guy is just the average Reddit user. But, people like this guy.
Yeah.
And it kind of made it as far-fetched as the concept might currently seem with where technology is.
Mm-hmm.
It made it seem more grounded, that it's like, yes, somebody would do this. Somebody would think this way. Somebody would act this way. And also, I wouldn't mind if a violent robot went after them, right? Like,
right, I wouldn't.
It's just entertaining.
And that's a hard balance. I think when you have a movie like this, which again, we have to kind of go into the plot really to kind of describe what we're talking about, especially when we talk about Iris a little bit here. Essentially,
Right.
the movie sets it up as a love story. You really think the movie is just like your typical love story. Like, yeah, maybe there's something weird, but you're really not sure what's going on. Come to find out that Iris is this companion robot that Josh, played by Jack Quaid, he paid for to have as a companion. And on top of that, you think a movie's going in one direction. You think Iris, she accidentally kills somebody in the movie, and you think it's going in one direction where she's going to be the murdering psychopath robot that's going after everyone, when actually it's kind of the other way. Josh wants to kill her or deactivate her in order to kind of cover up the plot about this weird murder mystery that's going on about them stealing money. And again, it's never too convoluted. I would say it's a very straightforward plot, but the fact that it takes these minor twists and turns keep you engaged the entire time. A lot of that has to do with Sophie Thatcher. We just talked about her actually in Heretic. I thought she was excellent in that, and coincidentally, she popped up in this movie, and she's great. She plays really this great, naive, believable robot character, but when she needs to turn it on, there's a scene where her intelligence actually like spikes up to like super, it's like from 1 to 10 scale. She's like a 10 intelligence. She really turns it on, turns into a completely different character. And again, she did a really good job, because again, you have to find a balance to where she's menacing, but she's also something that's sympathetic. And it's kind of funny how the roles kind of swap throughout the movie, where we think she's going to be the menacing one, and she's this elite intelligence AI that's going to kill everyone. Then it actually ends up Jack Quaid's the Reddit user going to murder his robot companion.
Yeah, I think she did a really good job of going back and forth between vulnerable and empowered, right? And literally empowers herself by taking control of the controls on the smartphone that he has for her, which was just kind of a funny way that they implemented it, allowing her to manipulate her own settings to achieve certain goals. It was relatable because those are settings that you might expect to find on a robot, but to allow the robot themselves to control them to achieve certain goals was smart. I enjoyed it.
Right. And again, it's one of those movies too, if you're going in for the themes, they're nothing like groundbreaking. I don't think anything in this movie is definitely like something you haven't seen before, but I think they're simple and just well acted and well conveyed. Like I said, the female empowerment through the AI robot, AI is bad, is definitely a message throughout this whole movie. It's also apparently a Terminator 2 tribute movie, towards the end of this movie, which maybe that's where it got a little crazy for me to some extent, especially when we got very again, I know we said no spoilers, or we said spoilers, but I'll just leave it to you when you watch the movie. They become
keep it somewhat vague.
Yeah, don't you think they become just very heavy-handed Terminator 2 by the end of this movie? And I'm like, okay, I get it. I know you love the movie, but maybe we should just slow down a little bit with that.
There was definitely a significant homage as it went further into the thriller territory, but it worked for me, so I will say I greatly enjoyed it.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't say it was bad or anything like that. Just a little heavy-handed at times with that.
Mm.
I do think everything balances though very well with this movie. It's hard to nitpick it too much. I think the cast is very engaging. Even the side characters, you do kind of feel bad for them. They're not really like bad, horrible people. They're just jerks that kind of deserve what's coming to them. That's really ultimately what it is. And you need that when you have this kind of horror comedy movie. And I think, again, it's very successful at doing that.
Yeah, a movie that I know I mentioned to you after viewing this was Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. It's a Jonathan Glazer movie that I really enjoyed, and a completely different tone, a much more serious movie that I'm not going to spoil. But
Yeah.
that was another movie that used an outsider character to view, normal people from sort of an outside perspective, and watching this movie through that lens, I really just enjoyed seeing somebody who was kind of new to the world look around and just go like, you all are terrible. Why are you in control? Right. And it made
exactly.
her going after them feel justified in a way.
Right. And it's funny too, in a time where I think we're flooded with AI films, especially from Hollywood, we're starting to see like kind of the evolution of Hollywood taking that stance with these kind of movies. It's nice to see something about AI and not made by AI, and actually like smart movie that deserves attention. And they're
Right.
definitely poking fun at that too. There's definitely some jokes about that and whatnot. But again, the movie I think definitely finds its stance, and I think it's definitely something you guys should be checking out. More on that, John. Unless you got anything else to add, I think we're ready to move on to our final score.
I'm ready to score this movie.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and give Companion an 8.9 out of 10.
Are you still not convinced? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Iris, do you know any foreign languages? Can you speak, say, Spanish?
Josh, no sé hablar español. ¿Qué?
How about
¿Qué está pasando?
Chinese?
怎么回事?
Do I need to keep going? Because I can go, I can do Portuguese, I can do Korean, I can do, I don't know what Telugu is, but apparently you speak it.
I had a fantastic time with this movie. I want to rate it higher. I do feel there are just some things that kind of hold it back just a little bit, maybe a little bit too predictable at times. Again, the ending just became a little too Terminator heavy, too heavy for me, at times too. Again, I think the story's phenomenal. Again, it's very simple, but sometimes you just need a simple story that executes twists and turns correctly. And again, I can't praise the movie enough with that. Cinematography, absolutely beautiful. Has a killer soundtrack, no pun intended. Iris is definitely a character I really enjoyed seeing on screen. And Jack Quaid, good for you. I don't hate you anymore, so I'm glad I get to enjoy you in something. John, what do you think on this one?
So I will give this movie a 9.2.
Easy there.
Okay, ooh, yeah, we both know it's not low.
Found the bullets.
Jesus Christ, fuck! You almost fucking shot me!
I feel terrible about it. Look at that. My very first lie. Kind of fun. I see the appeal.
It might be just that it hits a lot of the things that I like currently in movies, which is mixing together tones, right? The light-hearted sort of humor gets a laugh out of me, but then at the same time has some darker, more thrilling moments. But also, I like a fable, like a sci-fi story that has something to say about people, right? And
Right.
I don't know, the whole package, I really enjoyed it. I thought, as you mentioned, the actors were all, executing on their parts very well. And there was nothing I didn't like. Not a perfect movie, but a movie
Right.
I really enjoyed. I'd recommend to almost anybody, which is maybe sometimes hard to say for a sci-fi dark comedy.
Yeah, it's a strange amalgamation of things. I think this movie definitely wears its identity on its sleeve a little bit, especially where it's like a Stepford Wives, with like the type of design and clothing that she's wearing,
Yeah,
meets
definitely.
meets Terminator 2. it's just
Yep.
crazy. It really is a crazy ride, but again, enjoyable nonetheless. But what I want to know in the comments below is, what did you guys think of this movie? Did you enjoy it as much as we did? What are some other like horror comedy blendings that you actually do enjoy to watch? Let us know. Maybe it's something we can cover and talk about in the future. I feel like we're covering a lot of horror on this channel lately, but ironically, it's just kind of what's been really good and really interesting for us to check out. I could be reviewing like the latest, whatever movie, but I feel like it's just not as interesting as what horror is putting out. It's definitely the hardest working genre today, especially when it takes other elements of other genre, puts it in a blender and says, let's see what the hell happens. I can't compliment it enough. But again, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. We had a great time with you guys. My name's Kevin, that guy's John. We are the Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll catch you in the next one. If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.